The events leading up to this, when are you told? Who tells you? Who lays it out for you?
It's funny. I didn't write about all this in my book, but I was up to a lot of no good in those days.
On what level?
Well, I had we were supposed to change our tickets, and I had changed my ticket to visit some girl in Italy, which was I don't know how that happened, but I ended up going to Italy and visiting some girl that I barely knew, and toured around Italy for a few days, and then flew back to Canada, and no one really knew any different. Just thought it was just on tour. But I remember I had changed my ticket before I left, and then Vince handed out a memo in the dressing room that said that anyone that changes their ticket, it's a $2,000 fine and something. It was a big fine. I remember going, holy. And so then I went to Vince. I said, I just got this memo. I said, I already changed my ticket. And I told Vince, I said, I'm going to visit a friend of mine that plays hockey over in Italy. I've already made plans to change my ticket. And he said, don't worry about it. Or, you know, I don't think you need to worry about it. I'll look into it or something. Anyway, so when I got home, I think I went on the road for 1 or 2 days, or 3 or 4 days, like a short tour, and then I went home, came back home to Calgary. And they called me up, and the first town we were in was Red Deer, and then Saskatoon. And I think Red Deer was on a Sunday. And they called me up and told me that I needed to fly to Saskatoon on Monday morning, and that I could not change my ticket. Like, whatever you do, don't change your ticket. And when you get off the airplane, you go straight to the dressing room and you find Vince. He wants to see you. He's got something he wants to talk to you about. I didn't know what it was. I remember thinking, I'm in trouble for my ticket, changing my ticket. I really thought that's what it was, and I thought I might be in big trouble, bigger trouble than maybe I really got. I'm in like hot water. And I really didn't, I should have got that I might be getting the belt. When I think about it, there was lots of clues and lots of things that made me think, you know, I think someone had told me before I left for that trip to Italy or in Germany, it was Chief Jay Strongbow had pulled me aside and said that Vince has got a list with 5 names on it or something like that. I'm not sure the list, how many names were on the list, but he said, and yours is one of them to be the next champion. They're looking for a new champ, and he goes, I put in a word for you, and I think a couple of different guys said they thought I should get it, and he told me, he said, don't fuck up. When you go over to Europe, don't fuck up, because they're taking a long look at you right now. So. And
you book a fucking flight.
So I'd already did all that. It was done. It was, and I came home, and I remember I flew that day to Saskatoon. I had to get up at like 5:30 in the morning, catch I think it was a 7 o'clock flight or something like that. And I remember thinking, this is so crazy. No one is even going to be at the building at 8 in the morning or whenever I got there. I got there really early, and it's only an hour flight from Calgary, and straight to the arena, straight to the, right like they told me, straight in, walking down, and I go down the hall, and I think somebody was there, maybe one of the other agents, or somebody told me that, just to wait a minute, Pat, that Vince was with Rick. And so then I saw Rick come out of Vince's office, and I saw Rick thank him and shake his hand, and he was real courteous and real respectful and real professional, and he walked down the hall. And then I remember Vince looking back up the other hall and waved me down, and I remember thinking, okay, what's going on here? And I still didn't know. And I got in, and I did write about this in my book, though, because Vince starts up with me, where he starts talking to me, and did a quite convincing job of making me sound like he's going to fire me. He talked about how he asked me how long I've been with the company, and I think I told him whatever many years it was, and he goes, well, we've tried everything with you. We've tried to put you in tags, and we put the tag belts on you, and we put the Intercontinental belt on you, and he goes, heck, we've done just about everything we can think of to do with you. And I remember looking at him, and you think that I would realize that he was playing with me, or that I was winning the title or something, but I didn't. And I remember thinking, this cold-hearted bastard's going to fire me when he's got my dad flying in to be the referee in my match tonight. And he was going to be in my corner that night when the match, me and Davey were supposed to be tagged up with my dad in my corner. And I thought, oh, he's not going to fly my dad out and fire me on the same day. And I remember thinking, I thought, yeah, he would. He would fire me. And I'm looking at him like, part of me is looking at him like real stone-faced, and I'm not reacting at all. I really thought he was going to say, and so we have, you know, we're going to have to let you go or something. We've done everything we can. I know it sounds crazy to think that I could actually believe that, but I expected it almost like something's going to burst my bubble. Here it comes. And he goes, that's why we're going to put the title on you tonight. And I remember I looked at him and I said, okay. I didn't say anything. I didn't have any reaction. I didn't smile or jump for joy or anything. And of course I was inside, but I didn't know if it was real or not. And then he said to me, he goes, I can't believe it. You've got to say something. You're not even happy or anything. And I was like, so I'm just, you know, digesting it, you know. But anyway, so he had a good laugh at almost firing me kind of thing, and the fact that I didn't sell it. I think he was always, I don't know how many wrestlers he told they were going to win the belt, but when he told me, I didn't give him any kind of reaction at all. I was like, and what else are you going to do for me?
This match is only made available on home video. Why?
I'll never know. I'll never ever understood. Never understood then. I don't think there was any problem from Flair. I never ever heard there was, and I think Vince assured me that Rick had no problems with any of it, and thought I was a real pro, and Rick didn't say he had no squawking, or at least that's what Vince told me, and I believe him. And so I don't know. Maybe that was Vince's decision. I'll never know. I don't know the answer.
That's odd. Does one's relationship with Vince change when you are his title holder?
Yeah, it did. And like I remember I was told to get real close to Vince, that to try to become his best friend if I can, or really, you know. And Vince told me that the standard thing. He said, I want you to call me every day. And I said, about what? And he goes, just call me every day. I always want to talk to my champion every day. But anyway, it was really, anyway, so I would call him every day, and it's like, I'm calling you like you asked me to. I don't know what you want me to tell you, but I often wonder if it's like, I guess this is where I'm supposed to stooge out a bunch of guys, you know, and say, okay, you know what I think, this guy's no good, and you know what I heard, and I never ever did.
But he was never asking you stuff like that.
Never asked me, but he wanted me to call him every day, and after a while I just stopped calling him. Because I was like, I got nothing to say. You know, I don't know what you want to know. I mean, I see you every few days anyway, you know. But I didn't tend to call anybody up just to talk about stuff and talk about I did call them up and talk about what I was doing. And I had no problems with them. Most of the time, everything they told me was fun anyway. Like, I never had any... it's probably the same for John Cena today when they come in and they tell him, like, this is what you're doing, John, you know. And it's like, I was cool with everything they were doing, especially once I won the title. Like, even that day, waiting the whole day to win the title, I just kept thinking, who's going to mess this up for me? And I always think, I'm glad they didn't tell me the week before, or even a couple weeks before, or months ahead. Nobody knew. Nobody saw it coming, and I think every wrestler, even the ones that liked me, would have stabbed me in the back and made sure that I just always felt like it's such a dog-eat-dog that a lot of guys would say, he can draw, he's not the guy, or that Bret Hart, there was a lot of people like that anyway.
But once you got the title, isn't there a target automatically hung on your back at this point, as far as someone trying to get your spot?
Yeah, like once that whole day passed, I remember just waiting, and I didn't really believe it till it happened. And that's, for me, that was the greatest day of my life, I think. And I always got like, people say, why would you go back and work for Vince? It's like, that's why, because the guy gave me a chance in the first place, and you wouldn't be talking to me now if it wasn't for what Vince did for me then, and I'll never forget it. But he took a chance on me. I think when a lot of guys would argue strongly that I was not the right guy to put the belt on, didn't have the star power that he was looking for. But I really do think that Vince loved my work. He loved my matches, and he loved for most of the time that I was champion, around that time period, and maybe a little after that, and through the rest of my, till I left, most of the time he would tell me, I don't want to know the finish. Just show me. I just want to watch. He's gonna sit back and watch my match like a fan.
Yeah.
And I like that about Vince. Vince was a real fan of wrestling, and I think that's how he evolved. You know, eventually sort of moved to my way of wrestling or thinking.